everybody, welcome to Pot TV. I'm Marijuana Man, and I'm here today to talk to you about Stephen Harper's new drug strategy. Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister of Canada, has announced his new drug strategy. Well, I'm here to tell you folks, this is not new. In 1987, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, another conservative monster, introduced Canada's first new drug strategy, and it's exactly the same as what Harper's talking about today. Three-pronged approach: treatment, prevention, and enforcement. $64 million Harper has decided to dole out again. Now, the first time this happened, what actually went down was that the part about prevention was to be matched by the provinces. Now, no money was ever put up by the provinces, so no money was actually allocated in that situation. The RCMP ended up with some $50 million back in the late 80s to start their drug program. Now, this is all part and parcel to the same thing. This has got nothing to do about safety. It has nothing to do with health. It has to do with business. Absolutely straight up business. And these guys are even evil enough to admit it, as far as I can tell. Now, it's all over the newspapers, and of course, Harper is garnering support from, he's got his Minister of Health, Tony Clement. Tony Clement. Well, he's a suspicious character. He came up through the ranks of the Reform Party and all through the prohibitionist stuff with Harper, and he's hung on and hung on and hung on, and finally he lost his seat. Tried to get reelected, couldn't. Tried again, couldn't. So what did he do? He moved to the constituency where his cottage was, up in Parry Sound, where he squeaked out a little victory, and now he's the Minister of Health looking after our drugs and drug portfolio. Now, Tony Clement said in the newspaper the other day, he said, as of today, we're back in the business of an anti-drug strategy. And I quote him, we're back in the business. That's what it's all about, folks. It's straight up business. Another guy who had glowing things to say about Harper's new strategy was a guy named Tony Cannavino. Tony, the two Tonys here. Tony Cannavino is the president of the Canadian Police Association, who's going to get, well, they say $22 million going to the police, but it's always going to be a whole lot more than that. And they don't ever tell you about how much they're actually giving them and how it's being distributed to them. This is not a new strategy against drugs. This is the continuing strategy to make money off prohibition. Now, it wasn't too long ago that the drug czar from the United States, John Walters, was up here. Now, why do these people come here? Harper is adopting exactly the system that would come out of the mouth of John Walters. Now, they're buying it. Now, it's because it's good business. They're making large off this. Now, apparently the United States has spent something like $1 trillion so far on their war against drugs. I'd like to know how much they've made, how much money that's generated. $5 trillion? These people are investing money here. The $64 million that Harper's announced that he's going to put into it is going to get them back tenfold. They're going to get it in court costs. They're going to get it in lawyer fees. They're going to get it in judges' wages. They're going to get it in right down the line through the guards, the jails. Soon we're going to have to build more jails, they'll be saying, because we've got so many drug criminals to put in jail. Now, in 1987, when Mulroney introduced his plan, it was 2 days after Reagan announced his war on drugs. Now, come on. At that time, there was no drug problem in Canada. And at that time, 50% of all drug charges laid were for cannabis. Now today, flash forward to the 21st fucking century, Harper, you dork. I can't imagine how this man can stand up there and not just burst out laughing at how he is fishing us in to his little game of making his fat cats richer by preying on people who use substances that somehow have become illegal. Now here's the confusing part in all of the press releases that I see about this. Oh, they talk about the hard drugs, the cocaine, the crystal meth, and it all gets confused with this Insight harm reduction program that's going on. The whole article just shifts completely to that, to harm reduction. And Stephen Harper says, I'm not convinced that harm reduction works. What a fucking monster you are. I don't know how this drunk, and I'm absolutely convinced he's a drunk, ever got into power other than by evil, sneaky ways like the rest of his guys. Now here's another thing. John Less. He's the BC Minister of Public Safety and our Solicitor General. Here's what he had to say about Harper's new drug strategy. He said, it's a good day when more resources are thrown at drug addiction and drug dealers. It's a good day when more money is thrown at it. Well, of course it is. He's the head of all the cops in BC, Solicitor General. You know what his background is? Economics, economic development. This man knows money. Money, money, money. He's a Solicitor General. He has his hands on the entire drug purse that they don't, and they can't even account for and won't account for. These people are up to the worst things. Now, with 70% of all drug charges being laid right now in Canada for cannabis, what does this mean? What drug strategy does he have? They talk about crystal meth and cocaine and that they're going to get tough, but no, it's all about grow-ops. You know it. They're going to start arresting as many people as they can for cannabis. And it's going to stay the same. It's stayed the same since 1987. Nothing changed with Mulrooney's drug strategy, which is exactly the same as this one. What Mulrooney did was he planted a seed, the seed of prohibition, that grew into this plant that had many branches where they harvest off completely. This is money being sucked up from the taxpayer, going out to all these branches of government that they've created around drugs. Drug rehabilitation, drug research, drug. Even the police have their own drug committee because there's so much money involved here. That's what it's all about, folks. I urge every single person to go out and tell everybody they know, to write a letter right now, right today. And it's so easy with the internet. You can go on there and find out where your member of parliament is. They have an email address, every single one of them. Go out there and email them and tell them that you do not support this asinine plan of Stephen Harper's. It will not work, it has not worked, and it will never work. Please do not vote for this in Parliament. I do not support this, and I will not support you if you do vote for it. Please, I beg of you, send this now. It's up to us. It's the people of Canada have got to stand up here and stop these monsters. Do you know John Walters, the drug czar, who came up here and they coached our people? They went to the Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse, who partly and mostly determined the policies around drugs in this country and taught them how to get into this business. They taught them, those monsters. You know who John Walters is? He's a cocaine dealer. He was caught with the rest of them in the Iran-Contra affair. What a lying monster. Now, in the newspaper today, at the bottom of this story, it's funny to me that the next headline right below it, it says, rats making splash in city toilets. Isn't that apropos for Stephen Harper and your not new plan? So, get out there and let's see if we can't stop this. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Marijuana Man. Peace and pot.